All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Get Bit Podcast, the podcast for blurs, nerds, everything in between. My name is Joe Tennell. Usually, I have my actual host, Will Buchanan, who's usually joining us. However, Will went and had a baby with his lovely missus, and he is now taking care of his newborn son. We wish him well. We wish the baby healthy. We also wish that will know what a full night's sleep is soon. But until then, I'm holding down the ship. So let's jump right on into it. You will notice that this episode we will be structuring things a little bit differently. We're going to try and change some things moving forward. See if we can get this a little bit more jazzy. Jazzy is probably a terrible word, but we're just going to try and structure some things and restructure to see if it goes along. And I'll be getting notes from Will after the podcast. See what he thinks. See what we need to keep. See what we need to change. But new season, new stuff, new going forward. Let's jump right into our top story. So, unfortunately, Kang variant number 572, Jonathan Majors, was recently arrested last weekend. He was arrested in Manhattan, charged with assault and harassment following a domestic dispute with a 30-year-old woman, according to the authorities. New York say that they responded to on Saturday to a 911 call apartment in Chelsea. Majors was taken into custody without incident. The unnamed victim was also later taken to the hospital with minor injuries in her head and neck. Naturally, Jonathan Majors' defense lawyers did say that he completely denies assaulting this woman. They are also alleging they have uh, text messages and video claiming that completely includes Jonathan Majors. There is a statement out that police arrived with the paramedics as a standard procedure, arrested Jonathan Majors without incident once again, and does have to make an arrest in this scenario due to NYPD protocol requiring arrest in certain circumstances. She The person that called also disavowed any allegations that he had done anything to her and confirmed that Mr. Majors called 911 because of her mental condition. Uh, the defense attorney is also showing several messages of the woman also recanting this incident. Um, this is a tricky situation, and I'm going to be saying a whole bunch. My apologies. This is a tricky situation because Jonathan Majors is in high profile right now, because he's quite literally the newest big bad in the MCU. The thing that perplexes me is this kind of comes out of nowhere. Now, again, NYPD does have probable procedure, as I just read. So, per it being a domestic dispute, an arrest has to be made. He was charged. He was released on later that day or possibly Sunday on recognizance. The defense attorney says that they have proof. Hopefully, this will go away very quickly, and Jonathan Majors will continue working spectacularly as he does. The other thing that really bothers me about this is people, as soon as this was made public, so many people were quick to jump on his case. There was a lot of film industry people that just like almost immediately, like maybe within 5 to 10 minutes of this becoming news, just immediately came out of the left field of the field and just started saying he's terrible to work with. He has a temper, he mistreats people on set, and it's very suspect. Just in the timing scenario, because like I said, those tweets about him came out almost immediately as if they're just trying to like get this guy knocked off everything. And because of this, he's already lost some work. He had an army advertisement that he was in that has already been withdrawn by the U.S. military. I'm sure Disney's also waiting to see how this blows over because they are early enough to where they can course correct, but they know they don't want to because Jonathan Majors is a phenomenal actor. Um, and I'm sure they don't want to have to recast Kang if they don't have to. I hope to God that Jonathan Majors gets off scot-free. It's not that I say that I do not believe this woman. I take any domestic dispute story very seriously. It's just there's already, if this is already going in it's in the direction that it is, it looks like the charges will be dropped because the defense is already saying, hey, we have evidence. The woman that caused this is allegedly recanting her story, and he has already been released to go back to work and do things on his own. He's just waiting for proper arraignment, and there's no further issues. Then what bothers me about this is how people were so quick to judge and condemn him. There's a whole other facet of that, but that's not my place to talk. That's more something you can catch with Will later on down the road when he comes back or gets free time to pop him on the show, or another show, kind of which is a sister show to this one because Will's also a co-host in that, and that's Bird's Eye View. They also talk about this and talk about some of the areas that I am not qualified to talk about. Just certain aspects of this case that just befall certain areas that I am not qualified to talk about. But moving on to our second story. DC has laid off Marvel Entertainment chairman Isaac Perlmutter. So how this happened is come back. They're going to try and cut down the budget by $5.5 billion need to improve the company's financial numbers because Disney has not been batting 1,000 as of late in terms of movies, be it their animated or their Marvel franchises, because more superhero fatigue is setting in. Not for me personally. I'm still hyped as everything, but I find joy in just about anything I watch. It goes a long way for me to really not like something. So what's going on here is that Disney has absorbed Marvel Entertainment, which I believe is the toy and animation side of things. Please, guys, in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong. And has dismissed Ike Perlmutter. Bravo. Ike Perlmutter has in the past been a voice that has not been very pleasant to a lot of things. I believe there's a round going him saying that people will never go see a Marvel movie with people of color as leads or as women as leads. And yeah, that's not something you want to say, especially when you're working with Disney. Especially when Disney is like Princess Central. And when you go after one of their demographics, they're not going to keep you around for very long. It's honestly amazing how long Ike Perlmutter's held on as long as he has. But, you know, I don't want to say good riddance to bad rubbish because I don't want to wish ill on anybody. It's not like he's going to land on his butt. This man's like got a pretty wealthy portfolio of money he can fall back on and probably can get a job elsewhere. But it's just good to see that we're losing somebody that was detrimental to moving forward in the way movies are headed up or headlined. I look forward to seeing what is coming in the future. I just do not care for like Perlmutter. A lot of us aren't. So, again, good riddance. Now, moving out of the top news, we are moving on to Real Talk, where we talk about movies and TV. I actually went to go see the new D&D movie last night with a group of friends. I can say it was quite enjoyable, and that is something coming from I am not a big fan of fantasy. I am a sci-fi nerd. I am a Trekkie. I like some Star Wars, not a whole lot of Star Wars, but some Star Wars. I really dug it. I thought all those were casting Michelle Rodriguez as a barbarian just fits. She is a very, very badass woman and a great actress. And seeing her throw down with a giant axe and just go into a berserker rage in the movie was fantastic. Um, Justice Smith was continues to be fantastic as an actor. I enjoyed him in what little movies I did see him in. I've not seen him in a whole lot of stuff. I believe I've seen him in The Get Down and in Detective Pikachu, but I enjoyed those and I enjoyed him. I enjoyed him in this. Chris Pine's always fun. Um, did not realize the main villain in this, Hugh Grant. I completely thought he was a completely different British actor, and that's on me. But Hugh Grant is an enjoyable scoundrel, especially when he's an evil scoundrel. So I had a lot of fun. There's a lot of winks and nods to the fans. If you're my age, which is coming very close to 40, now I just made myself feel sad. If you know where to look, there's a Saturday morning cartoon reference in this movie. I will not spoil it. I want you guys to go out and see this movie and go watch and support it. Stuff like this needs to be seen. Stuff like high fantasy movies are very few and far between and don't get a large box office unless they have the name Lord of the Rings attached to it. And even then, that's only on the big screen from what I understand. So I definitely dig it. I say go see it. Caught the Flash. Kind of wish I hadn't. It's a decent episode. This one's focusing on Dreamer, who is a trans hero. That's fantastic. I dig that, and I did enjoy when Dreamer did a guest spot in the John slash Superboy slash Superman series by Tom Taylor. Those kind of characters are very important, especially in times right now. I just wish I could say better about this episode. I like the hero more than I did the episode itself. It really dug into her powers, but we are struggling towards that finish line. Like, we are that runner in marathon who is just gasping and wheezing and dumping all sorts of water all over himself, trying to make it to the finish line. And I watch Flash because for this show, we'll just put it that way. So Rand Lewis, I did not get to catch this week. It's been a very busy week for me, and I apologize. I'm trying to caught up so we can talk about that next week. Moving into actual news, Marvel has been given a release date. It is now coming out June 21st. This is one of the first of the Phase 5 TV shows. This will be a pseudo follow-up to Captain Marvel, but also will lead into possibly the Marvels, as this is going to be following Nick Fury and Ben Mendelsohn as the Skrull Talos and a cavalcade of other characters, as Nick Fury tries to uncover a giant conspiracy of rogue Skrulls trying to infiltrate the Earth over the years and install themselves in places of power. Looking forward to that. It really makes me happy we're getting to see new content. Secret Invasion was an okay Marvel event. I read that from two different aspects. First and foremost, through the Thunderbolts series, then through the Avengers series. Thunderbolts was a bit more enjoyable for me, but I'm very biased because I'm a huge Thunderbolts fan. This show will also continue with Emily Clark, Kingsley Ben-Adir from Peaky Blinders, Game of Thrones, Scott Killian, Carmen Eggio, and Christopher McDonald, Thomas Zusha, and Ali Slim are going to be directing. This is a crossover event series that has been set up through multiple series already. This will also be doing Don Cheadle, which may or may not lead into Armor Wars, considering there's a lot of shakeup in terms of how the MCU is panning out right now, in terms of both their movie and their television, because of Bob Iger coming back. Bob Chapek being tossed out, and Iger wanting a more tight knit, more fluid uh, timeline for the MCU in terms of shows and movies, rather than the shotgun style that JPEG wanted to. But like he wants it. Phase four is what I call the one shot era, whereas the other phase read more like a series of trades that go in a larger graphic novel, where it's one coherent thing rather than one shot, one shot, one shot with a tiny bit of coherency running in between them, if any. So this is why I say I don't know if Armor Wars is coming, when Armor Wars is coming, because the schedule is just so in flux. Moving on over, it has been announced that X Files is getting a reboot from Ryan Coogler of Black Panther director fame. He's working on a reboot series that's going to be involving a more diverse cast. With them, Carter revealed that Ryan Coogler is going to remount the X Files franchise and update a little bit from the original series starring David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson. Cougar also said that is intrigued in what he wants to do with the X Files, considering how much of its story is already out there. He is rumoring it to be a separate project from the spinoff of the animated series X Files Albuquerque, which he helped produce on Fox. Not really too much is known at this point. It's just that he wants to do the X Files, and I welcome that. He has done remarkable work on all the movies he's been a part of. A diverse cast in X Files is certainly welcomed. I just want to see what that goes like forward. I remember watching this when I was little, scared the crap out of me a lot of the times. But times have changed. Things are scarier. Or things have the potential to be scarier. Plus, we have better television technology, so this could go even harder into its sci-fi aspect. We just have to wait and see. I just look forward to what he's got coming up. About Cinderella for a Disney Plus musical. On top of this, Paulo Montalban, who also played Prince Charming in the Disney series of Cinderella, along with Brandy, will be reprising their roles in Descendants Rise of the Red and Queen. This also was the same movie where Whitney Houston was the fairy godmother. This was the television movie Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. They have released a few shots here and there for the series. This was confirmed by Variety in last November that Brandy had boarded Descendants movie as Cinderella. At the time, the movie has the working title The Pocket Watch, but now has the definitive title of Rise of the Red. Rita Ora is also going to be starring in this film as the tyrannical Queen of Hearts, with additional cast of China Anne McClain as Uma, daughter of the Little Mermaid's Sea Witch Ursula, Morgan Dudley as Ella, a younger version of Cinderella, and Melanie Paxton as the fairy godmother, amongst others. This one is a little bit out of my wheelhouse. I am a little bit too old to watch Descendants, though not too old to watch other things, but we'll leave that for another time. I just grabbed this little bit of news piece because, I think this is fantastic. I like that we get some continuity from older Disney shows, although I somehow doubt that Descendants is going to be somehow tying in one-horn flying purple people eater, but one can hope. I do like the fact that they went so far as to get both Paulo Montalban and Brandy back to reprise their roles. It shows a lot of love to that the old television movie. I hope this is going to turn out fantastically. I know Descendants is one of their big new popular series. I'm just more of an Owl House guy. Uh, Moving back to Marvel, Grim Reaper has been cast in the upcoming Wonder Man TV series by Demetrius Gross. Demetrius is an actor who has appeared in such shows as there we go. The Walking Dead as a hunter tracker, part of the LaRue brothers, as well as H.P. Lovecraft Country, The Rookie, a character in Call of Duty. He'll be playing Grim Reaper, which is Wonder Man's brother, also technically Vision's brother. Well, at least in the comic books, it depends on how you look at it. Since Vision is based off of Wonder Man's brainwaves in the comic, he is technically a version of Simon. So that means he is technically Executioner's brother. However, that is not the case in the MCU. So he is strictly just Wonder Man's brother. Again, there is no word when the Wonder Man TV series will come out. As I previously said, because of the MCU shakeup in terms of development and release, we don't know when stuff is going to be coming out. We just know that stuff is either on hiatus, indefinite hiatus, or has yet to be given a release date. But I do look forward to this. I have got to see him in The Rookie and Lovecraft Country. Man is a phenomenal actor. I think he will do a bang-up job as Executioner. I wonder if they're going to play him up as cheesy as Executioner is sometimes, because he is a very scene-chewy villain at times, and other times he is very silent and deadly. I just don't know which version they're going to do, but I'm still down for it. Also, it was recently added that Thunderbolts is getting a new writer from the creator of the series Beef, Lee Sung as writer. He'll be taking a crack at the second draft of the Thunderbolt script. Lee has previously worked on Toucan and Birdie, Dave, and Silicon Valley. Thunderbolts will be his first writing credit on a feature film. This not only reunites him with Jake Schreier, who is currently directing the movie, but also co-star Steve Yeun, who has a unknown role in the movie. Many are saying that he is going to be the Sentry. Personally, I don't see it. If it was me, he'd be Amadeus Cho, and that way we get two Hulks for the price of one, because Harrison Ford's in this movie as Thunderbolts, and I guarantee he's only in there to be Red Hulk. But from the man himself, he spoke recently on this, saying he's truly honored to be a part of the Marvel thing, but it's very different. It's a very different one. It is not my project. It's Jake's. It is a very large scope and scale of writing, and writing a movie is very different from a television, but also at the same time, the process is the same. He is going to be talking to the director, and they're going to be bouncing back and forth. There's also a squad of people that he's going to be working with in terms of that. Thunderbolts is going to be expecting to be shooting in June and releasing July 26th in 2024. Marvel veteran Eric Pearson, writer of both Black Widow and Thor Ragnarok, did the pass on the first script. Now, as per usual, production details are shrouded in secrecy. Steve Yeun is still totally unknown. We do know that Julia Louis-Dreyfus will be reprising roles as Contessa Valentina Allegra de la Fonte. God, that name is so long. Florence Pugh will be Yelena Belova, the new Black Widow. Sebastian Stan will be back as Bucky Barnes. David Harbour and Olga Kurylenko will be back as both Red Guardian and Taskmaster. All three previously, save for Bucky, were in the Black Widow movie. Wyatt Russell will be back as John Walker. Steve Yeun, breakout. Like Steve Yeun, the Bear breakout star Io Itaberry has also been cast in the film in this unknown role. To me, I have already put out there that they've casted their version of the Thunderbolts, and any further casting is going to be Baron Zemo's actual Thunderbolts. So for me, Steve Yoon and Io Edeberry will probably end up being Beetle or Fixer, and either Moonstone or Screamy or Songbird. Um, Thunderbolts is also slated to be the end of Marvel's Phase 5. I am greatly looking forward to this. I am a huge, huge Thunderbolts fan. This is one of the very few movies I will definitely say I have high expectation for, because I know the source material so well, which is means I'm more than likely going to be very disappointed, or I'm going to enjoy myself and nitpick this thing to death, regardless. Um, a lot of people already started to say Thunderbolts movie's in trouble because they're already adding a new writer. That is not the case. That is not how the industry works. To my knowledge, scripts get passed around, and rewritten all the time before going to final draft. Uh, Lee Sung Jin is only working on the second draft of this script, meaning he will take his own spin on it. He will probably keep things from the original writer, from Mr. Pearson, as well as adding his own things. And then someone else may come in and do a third draft of the script, and there may be a fourth draft of the script. They got almost 2 months before shooting starts. So, script revisions and more drafts is a very common thing in movies. You don't ever nail it down on the first try, and sometimes adding in more writers can give a better perspective. Sometimes it can muck it up. I'm not saying that adding more cooks to the kitchen is a good thing, but sometimes different perspectives can help, especially when you have a team that has already worked together in a previous thing. As I said, Lee Sung Jin and Jake Schreier have worked together already on a TV project, Beef. So they already have more coherency and can work well together. So that's why I have higher hopes for this. So that is all we have for TVs and movies. So we are moving into political joysticks. So we have BioWare has finally given us an update on Mass Effect 4. And what that update is they have shifted almost everybody from Mass Effect 4's development, save for a very small core team, to make sure the project continues, to put all hands on deck for Dragon Age Dreadwolf. Upon completion of that, all allocated team members from both projects should be shifted over to Mass Effect. Is I am I will be a large majority of the steps once to where we can dreams here. That comicbook.com relayed via GameBeats is the Mass Effect team is being brought over to help finish development on Dragon Age Dreadwolf, which has been in post-production since September of last year. The closer the game gets released, the more production and polishing ramps up, which is why the Mass Effect team is brought in. This is good news for the new Dragon Age, which means more resources, more polishment. This is not good news for the Mass Effect game, however, though it has been confirmed still in pre-productions. In other words, it's still years away from release, and will presumably need at least a couple of years of production, about a year to 18 months post-production for its release. The entire team has not been moved over to Mass Effect. A small core team led by Mike Gamble has being left to work on Mass Effect. It sounds like the game will not be leaving pre-production anytime soon, presumably launch until after Dreadwolf. When will the new Dragon Age release? We don't know. BioWare is still hasn't given a date, although all current implications leading to suggest at least a 2024 release, or at the very least, possibly the first half of that year. It has become increasingly unclear why BioWare has revealed a new Mass Effect at the end of 2020 at the Game Awards, just for them to shift everybody over to Dreadwolf. But again, they also do state that once that is ended, I'll allocate everything that was allocated to Dreadwolf on top of the Dreadwolf team will be shifting over to Mass Effect. This is just one of those, when it happens, it happens. I don't really know how else I can put that. It's just the way video game industry goes, I guess. I wish I had more sources I could corroborate with this. Unfortunately, we are still a very new podcast, and this is a very new style of doing this. So, it's going to try. It's going to try in our best. Like I said, hopefully we'll see it by the light of day. I would love to play Mass Effect 4 before I'm 45. That's a wish. Little and me going to be talking to Ubisoft is backed out of E3. But as a result of multiple people dropping from the event itself, E3 itself has just come out and said Repop and the Entertainment Software Association, the ESA, have announced that both the digital and physical events for E3 2023 are canceled. This is not a surprise. The pandemic showed us that E3 is largely unneeded anymore. All the major game publishers and developers have learned that if you publish a Nintendo Direct style event, you will get more traffic by everybody that plays the games and the industry as a whole. You cut costs tremendously. You don't have to allocate staff to the event. You don't have to ship anything. You just premiere a vertical slice or a preview trailer or a bit of alpha footage or a bit of beta footage and a voiceover, and you're good to go. So E3 canceled this year is unsurprising. I am unsure if this means if E3 is totally dead. I would not be surprised if they try again next year, but I think the writing's on the wall and E3 just needs to hang it up and just become either purely digital event or just find another avenue, because Nintendo Direct has just shown the other guys that, hey, you guys can do this too, and we get a crap ton of views for it. Moving on, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom put out a 10-minute video. Some of it was very, very entertaining. Some of it was a little disappointing because they kind of alluded that the original base world from Breath of the Wild is largely untouched, and that the majority of the new stuff on the player map is going to be the Skyloft areas, which they are not calling Skyloft areas here, calling it something else, but I'm playing Skyward Sword right now. These are the Skyloft areas. I don't know why they're trying to BS us. Now, the stuff they did address is Link has new powers. He can phase through ceilings in certain areas. He can rewind certain objects to where he can traverse easily. This is also how you can easily get to the Skyloft areas. And they did address weapon degradation, kind of. So the Link's new ability is to fuse items to other items. Kind of think Dave the Barbarian, where he makes a megaphone out of a squirrel, some tape, and a megaphone. Meaning Link can go grab a branch like he did in the demo, and if you swing a branch, the branch has like 3 hits and then breaks. As a result of this new power of fusing, he can fuse a boulder to a branch, and go to town on new monsters with it. I want to say is that if your item gets weak from the way it looks at, like what the demos are showing, although this is only my hearsay from watching the demo, we have no actual confirmation on this. So purely speculation on my end is that if your item is near breaking, you can fuse it with another item and it restocks the degradation meter because it's classifying itself as a whole new weapon or item. We also see Link attach a mushroom to a spore mushroom to a shield that, when struck, gives a smoke cloud, leading Link to do a critical stab on a villain, and attaching eyeballs onto arrows, making them homing arrows. Um, so there's more utility and more tactics to this game now. As well as overworld aspects, we actually do know that the fusing leads to the vehicles that were put out. Um, so it really is kind of Banjo and Kazooie. Kind of. I did not really enjoy Breath of the Wild. I'm one of the very, very few people on this thing. My credibility on this podcast is immediately just tanked, and you're probably turning it and deleting this file now. Please don't. This is my first time solo, and I need the self-esteem boost. The thing that kind of drove me away from it was the weapon degradation. I did not like that. I did not like it in Dark Cloud. I don't like weapon degradation. If it was up to me, Link would have a base weapon of each type, and over the course of the game, you would become more proficient at it, take up a smith, level up the weapon to where it's like that laser stuff the Guardians have, to where you'd have like a laser mace, laser hammer, laser staff, laser triton, stuff like that. But it would be your Link and what he's proficient in on top of, the Master Sword. You're never going to get away from the Master Sword. That's kind of ingrained in the game. But I always wanted Breath of the Wild to have a weapon proficiency system to where if you got more proficient with it, you just got a better weapon as time went on. That's kind of what drove me away from the game. Also, the lack of dungeons. Even though you do have the four sacred beasts, I'm kind of a old school Zelda guy. I want my dungeons. I don't want like one room dungeons like they gave us in that. I'm really hoping Tears of the Kingdom brings back full dungeons. That would definitely make me buy the game. I'm already going to buy the game because I did buy Breath of the Wild. It's just the weapon degradation just completely turned me off. Also in gaming news, Tekken 8 has put out quite a bit of nerds. We have seen the return of Jun Kazuma. For those unaware, Jun Kazuma is the mother of Jin Kazuma, and has not been a playable character in continuity wise since Tekken 2. She has been a playable character in the Tekken tags and possibly on a boss at one point. But the last time we could play as June as in normal Tekken timeline was Tekken 2. She is definitely a force to be reckoned with. I believe her gimmick, because everyone in Tekken 8 kind of has a gimmick now, is she can drain her life to increase damage and regain the life lost. She also has kind of these like holy energy. It's kind of a natural opposition to Kazuya's devil beams. She has her own angel beams, I guess, or holy beams. I guess we can say that because I think she could turn into an angel in Tekken 2. I think that was the playable character was Angel, and I think it was supposed to be June, or it may have been the last goodness in Kazuya. It's been a while since I've played Tekken 2, obviously. But no, June is definitely looks to be a force to be reckoned with. Jack 8 was also recently shown. Jack looks entirely different from how he normally plays. He kind of reminds me of Jack fused with Gigas and Zangief, if that's the thing. He has this new gimmick where he poses and gives him armor, and also gives him like high power strong strike. So his heat technique kind of makes him Juggernaut, where old MVC Juggernaut, where he's got armor and just like uses 3 moves and takes off like a quarter of your health. He also has um, hyper cannon from Iron Man. I can't remember the name of that move. It's very late and I've had a long day at work. But Iron Man and War Machine super move from MVC. Jack has that as well. Ling Xiaoyu was also shown. She her gimmick, I'm unsure as to what she does because she doesn't really do anything dramatically different from what she always has done. Just like a lot of stance canceling and work, but Tekken 8 looks to be shaping up real good. I really do want to try June as much as I possibly can. I was a big Asuka player and a Dragunov player, so June may be right up my alley unless they also add Asuka back into this because I do want to see what kind of gimmick they give Asuka, and I definitely want to see what kind of gimmick they give Dragunov. So know, it's pretty much it on the video game front. So we're moving into the comic course. I'm just trying to name these segments, guys. That way I can keep a page out or work with. Marvel Gods has been recently announced. This is the new Jonathan Hickman series. This is the second thing that Jonathan Hickman has been working on. He originally headed X-Men until around Inferno and then left. And we thought he was done with Marvel, but apparently he is now working on his own thing called Marvel Gods. And what Marvel Gods is, and he's working with Valerio Shido. Shido is the major artist on Marvel events of Empire and Axe Judgment Day, which the artwork in Judgment Day was fantastic. Empire kind of was hit and miss. Empire X-Men was really good, but I'm biased again because magic. So there's that. The rundown on it is we are getting a new character called Wen, who's a mysterious player in a war that exists outside of the orders as we know it, a vital member of an eons old hierarchy that includes the omnipotent rule of the Marvel Universe known as Eternity, Infinity, and the Living Tribunal. After a fateful meeting with Doctor Strange, Wen hints at something bigger than the forces of good and evil, where the very building blocks of creation, scheme, and clash. It's the beginning of a breathtaking epic at the crossroads of science and magic, one that will shatter our understanding and open our eyes to ideas beyond all we perceive. So this is a big new Doctor Strange event, and I am all here for it. Don't know much about this Wen guy, considering he's just introduced. I'm open to new characters. Every writer's got to add a new character. That way they can get residuals from it. How big Wen is going to impact the Marvel Universe as a whole or in the future is yet to be unknown. But it's nice to know we're getting a magic event, a Marvel Magic main event. It's been quite a while since we've had that, like a good while. I think the very last time we had something that an event for that was Damnation. And I only read that because of Scarlet Spider. Again, I'm biased. So Hickman is explaining, I came back to Marvel a few years ago and wrote 2 series Bible, first with the House of X and second with the House of Gods. I mean, it goes on to say, I'm excited to say that I'm finally going to be able to share my other Bible, which looks at a very special corner of the Marvel Universe and the crystallized and intersect of science and magic, and revisits characters and concepts we reimagine for a more modern time for a continuity-driven audience. The artist, Valerio Shido, SCHTI. I'm trying my best to pronounce that name. Goes on to also add that when I was given a chance to work with Jonathan on a new project, I accepted right away. Then I discovered we were reimagining the gods of the Marvel Universe, how they work, what they do, and how they interact with each other and humanity. That's the kind of project that makes you weak in the knees when you think about it. Luckily, Jonathan has a gift to make even the most complex stories surprisingly simple, understandable, and his pitch inspired me almost immediately. The core of the story is so perfect and so clear that it swept away my anxiety and turned it into a burst of creativity. And then the guys just kind of going to pat each other on the back. The first book of this will be will be Avengers X-Men #1, coming out on Free Comic Book Day. This also includes a preview of Gods. Marvel will also reveal the main cover variant and backstories more in coming months. Again, I am really looking forward to this. Axe is fantastic. Jonathan Hickman has proved himself a very, very good author. Greatly enjoyed his time with the X-Men. I'm sad he left. Jerry Duggan is doing a admirable job in his place, also along with the Karen Gillian and the other gentlemen that are working on the current X titles. Sinister has been fantastic. I look forward to that and the next chapter, Fall of X. But Jonathan Hickman is something special. Um, I can't wait. He's already touched the Avengers. He's touched the X-Men. I am really excited to see what he can do with magic. Moving on over, we are Marvel may have just retconned one of the most powerful MCU characters to be a mutant, possibly. So, the newest issue of Monica Rambeau, this will give slight spoilers for Monica Rambeau Photon. Um, it Now, for those unaware, Monica Rambeau did not get her powers till she was much later in her life. However, this is written by Eve L. Ewing, Luca Mariska, Carlos Lopez, NBC's Clayton Cowles. Um, there is a possibility that Monica was a mutant and that some of her powers are mutant-based powers, as we see in issue 4, a very younger Monica in her early teens harnessing a small light bulb and then crushing it. And Monica is just saying, hey, don't give him another reason. Meaning, and Nikita knows the grind, so meaning she actively suppressed her mutant powers and had control over them. But that means she had mutant powers over light even before she had her spectrum powers. And I really don't know how to feel about that. I'm wondering if they're keeping this in line, changing her because Marvel's is coming out and there's a possibility she may also be a mutant along with Ms. Marvel, which they changed from her being a inhuman to a mutant in the MCU. Um, I honestly don't know how to feel about this. I mean, it's not like life changing or anything. It's just they're changing it for the sake of the character coming up in a movie. And that just, I mean, it doesn't sit well, but I mean, it's also not really hurting anybody. Um, I love Monica. She's a wonderful character. I wish they treated her better during her time in the Avengers. I think she really grew to be her own character and a better character during her time in Next Wave. And again, while I don't think this hurts her in any way, this also just doesn't add to her. So I'm wondering why they did this. I don't know what else to really say on this, honestly, because it just doesn't really do anything for her. It just, hey, I was a mutant when I was a younger kid, and I'm still a mutant. And then I got additional superpowers. And maybe my powers got taken away during my mutant powers may have gotten taken away during M Day, but I still have my spectrum powers, so I never needed my mutant powers anyways. Like, I don't know what to say because I don't see her popping up on Krakoa outside of Hellfire Gala. It doesn't change any of her prior accomplishments in the Marvel universe. I mean, there's a chance that her being a mutant may help her endear her to new fans because explaining her powers to new people as mutant abilities on top of her already spectrum powers. But like, again, it doesn't change who she is. It doesn't take away from her, but it really doesn't add anything to her. So it's just kind of sorry on that one, guys. Like, I just don't know what to say on this. Like, um, I bring it up because it's definitely a change because Miss Marvel's very popular right now. And Monica's going to be a very pivotal character moving forward in the MCU. And it's fantastic that she gets her own book because she does deserve her own book. Her new costume is fantastic. This is just a very odd change to make her a mutant. I really don't know how else to explain it. Since we're talking about comic books, we're going to end out the night. This is our comic portion, or as I like to call it. This is where we talk about the comic books of the week. As soon as I can pull up the right stuff. But other than that, where is the right folder? There we go. Just loading. Sorry, guys. This is one of the few parts that actually does go slow in the podcast, no matter how much I try to plan ahead. And we share it. And all right. Take the full screen mode first. All right, so our first comment today, and we are doing a tie-in to the D&D movie with IDW's Saturday Morning Adventures, and this time it is covering Dungeons and Dragons. This has been written by David M. Booher and Sam Miggins, art by George Cambadias. Cambadias. My apologies. Letters by Ed Dukeshire, edits by Zach Boone and Jonathan Manning, production and design by Joanna Natalie. So, for those of you unaware, in the mid '80s, D&D got a Saturday morning cartoon where a bunch of kids went to a carnival in town back when that was still a thing, hopped on a D&D themed roller coaster and was transported into the world of Dungeons and Dragons. From there, they make an epic journey on trying to find items that would potentially, and leads that could potentially return them to our own world while dodging both the god Tiamat, which they defeated on a regular, defeated's a strong word, barely survived repeated encounters of the god Tiamat, their own arch villain, Venger, who sometime would be in cahoots with Tiamat by like leading it towards it, or would end up fighting Tiamat. It's whatever served the fight of the week. This continues those journeys. We have Hank, Sherry, Presto, Sherry's little brother, whose name I forget. Um, this is just one of those Saturday morning cartoon adventures. There's no bigger plot on this. Eric was the paladin. And I think Diana was the acrobat. I just forget the kid's name, and Uni the unicorn. Um, this was not bad. I enjoyed this. This does continue the plot of the cartoon. I do know that they technically finished the cartoon in a fan reunion rating. But it's just like one of those further adventures that we just never got to see in the cartoon. It's just a very straightforward Saturday morning cartoon where they run the dungeon master, has some adventure, go on a quest to look for another lead, fight Venger, and then the day is done. This is part one of a larger story, but it is still somewhat episodic, with just some trails of an arc for this series. It's fun. I enjoyed my time with it. It's a good book. Next up, we have from DC Blue Beetle Graduation Day, issue 5 of 6. This is written by Josh Trujillo, art by Adrian Gutierrez, coloring by Will Quintana, lettering by Lucas Gattioni. And so the long and short of this is the Justice League, or some of the Justice League in this book. This is a bizarre timeline of the Justice League because Shazam's in it, and Jessica Cruz is in it, and I'm not sure if that's Barry or Wally, and Cyborg's on the Justice League, and Black Condor's there for some reason, but they are trying to deal with a potential reach invasion, as there are new multiple Beetles, the Gold Beetle and the Green Beetle, and they are having to deal also with potentially Jaime because the Reach's bug scarabs are fully controlling the host with the exception of Jaime at the moment. However, Jaime is having trouble dealing with not hearing Kajida, which is the name of the scarab, while also trying to keep the Justice League at bay from getting the two other scarabs because they are unaware that the scarabs may potentially actually be human hosted as opposed to Reach hosted. I enjoy this book. Blue Beetle books are always not my favorite. Love Ted, love Jaime. I wish this was an ongoing, but Blue Beetle at this point, I believe, is better in small doses. I'm sure we will get another Blue Beetle book down the road because he's got a movie coming out later this year. Really good book. I enjoyed it. I don't want to spoil too much. We do get some closure with the Green Beetle and the Gold Beetle. Blue Beetle just like steps up for everybody. Batman agrees with Jaime, so Batman's on Jaime's side, then everything's good. Jaime also gets a power upgrade on the suit to look a little bit more core. Kind of looks a little bit more Kamen Rider-esque than normal. Something I did because I'm a huge Tokusatsu fan. I will say the one odd thing out of all this is probably Black Condor. That's a really left field pull, and I guess he's only there because of where the series is situated at right now. He's, I guess, the local hero, but it's just weird seeing Black Condor. Anyways, enjoyed the book. Definitely please go pick it up. Next up, we have Action Comics number 1053. This is written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, art by Rafa Sandoval, colors by Matt Hermes, letters by Dave Sharp. This is continuing the last one where the Superman family is currently taking on Metallo, an unfortunate army of zombie-like Metallos, because Corbin has been taking people and modifying them into more versions of Metallo. One of the Superman family is gravely hurt during this exchange. Connor was already hurt in the first issue. Another Superman family member is also gravely injured. I'm not going to spoil who. Meanwhile, Other problems are going on is Corbin is slowly losing his grip on reality, and is starting to see his sister, and his sister's giving him directions on things to do. Meanwhile, Jonathan is playing babysitter to the newest members of the family. Newest members of the family, the survivors from the War World, which are the twins Ortho and Also, I think are their names, and the kids are trying or fitting in with the Kents as their new younger kids, but they kind of sit down and have a talk with Jonathan because they're aware Jonathan is very aloof around them. And it's only Jonathan just explains to him that he is happy that they're a part of the family. It's just his time, what his childhood was taken from Clark and Lois, and it was around the time that the twins are. So he's a little weird around them because he kind of wishes what they are having now with Clark and Lois. And not that he wishes them any ill will or malice. It's just he's bummed that he isn't getting what they had. He has to deal with, hey, now I'm an 18-year-old John Kent, and I have other things, and I had my childhood taken away from not only myself but my parents, but now my parents are getting a second chance with you. And the twins are actually really chill with that. And again, this shows why I like Jonathan. It's not the old comic trope of we're never going to talk and this is going to lead to problems down the road. They address the issue right up front and have a sit down, and both parties are receptive, and it makes for better. It makes for a just doesn't fall into that comic book trope. Is I guess what I'm trying to get at. Unfortunately, it looks like one of the kids also may be Breaking Bad because of some things going on. Superman is fun to read again. That's really the best part about it. Josh Williamson is turning out a great book, and Superman. Phil Kennedy Johnson is turning out a really entertaining story here in Action Comics. The backup for this one with Power Girl also was very good. I really enjoyed that a little bit more than this one. Mostly because I'm just not a Metallo fan. But what they're doing with Metallo in this book is really interesting. But the Power Girl backup, also written by, I think Josh Williamson is also doing that. Pardon me. So I dig it. I'll say definitely read it. Superman, like I said, Superman is fun to read again. That's really, really something for me to say because the last time I read it was I want to say the Tim Seeley run when John was a little kid. It was the era before Bendis came in and botched it up. That was the last time I read Superman and enjoyed it. And I'm starting to really enjoy this. Definitely recommend. Moving on over, we have DC Universe, Lazarus Planet, Revenge of the Gods. All right, guys, I'll level with you on this one. I really don't care that this is a Lazarus Planet book. I'm reading this because this ties into Wonder Woman. And I'm really reading because my favorite Wonder Woman, Yara Flor, is in it. So this is written by G. Willow Wilson, art by Sam Tomery and Emmanuel Lapuccio. Previously, Wonder Woman tied into this because Hera's somewhat assassinated Goose somehow enslaved or entranced the wizard Shazam, actual wizard Shazam, not Billy. And the fall of that is Diana was made a goddess, but now because she has been made a goddess, she can now be punished according to Hera. Billy is now caught up in this because he derives his powers from the gods, and something is wrong with his powers. Meanwhile, he just randomly runs into Yara because they got to meet somehow. And Yara's on a mission to go find Wonder Woman. So these two team up. Thankfully, this is a team up where they do not fight each other a whole lot. I think it's like a panel or two, and most of the time it's just Yara making fun of how goofy Shazam is, which, when Billy Batson is Billy Batson, and when Billy Batson is Shazam, he talks a certain way, but looks a certain way, and Yara being Yara, meaning Yara has no chill, kind of just like, you look like Superman, but you sound like you're five. What's up with that? Meanwhile, they go track down, and stuff happens once they hit Mount Olympus. That's all I'll say. I don't know if I can recommend this for everybody. In the grand scheme of things, Lazarus Planet was a giant nothing. I really don't care. This is probably the biggest tie-in for me because I am reading Wonder Woman. Yara Flor is one of my favorite Wonder Woman characters, if not my favorite Wonder Woman. I love Diana. I just love Yara Flor more, and I really hate that her series got canceled before it could really take off. I'm really getting this just for Yara. The Shazam stuff in it is fine. The tie-in to Wonder Woman is really where it's at for me. If you're reading Wonder Woman, this is for you because this continues onward. If you're a fan of Yara Flor, read this. If you're a fan of Shazam, read this. Otherwise, it's completely missable and has nothing to do with the grand scheme of anything in DC except that one little pocket over there. Next up, Unstoppable Doom Patrol. Unstoppable Doom Patrol is written by Dennis Culver, art by Chris Burnham, colors by Brian Reber, letters by Pat Burrows, and editor by Ben Abernathy. So this time around, the Doom Patrol team is Robot Man, Cliff Steele, Negative Man, Larry Trainer, Last Woman, Larry Ford, the Chief, and introducing Beast Girl, who, unlike Beast Boy, does not shapeshift into animals. Instead, she can trigger anybody's flight or fight response. However, she mostly can control it to where people just run away. The whole issue is basically Doom Patrol is going into Gotham because there's a meta-human attack going on. They find the problem. There's a new member to the team, as seen on the cover here. They fight this dude and whatnot. Dude just decides to switch teams because he's in Gotham. Naturally, they run into Batman, and Batman's like, well, I got it from here. And Doom Patrol this is a metahuman thing. Get the hell out of our way. So they recruit this dude because this dude, it's like, I'm going to join your team. Take that offer to join the team because I know what they do to people when they do stuff in Gotham, and I'm not going to Arkham. Plus, this means if I join you, I don't have to fight Batman. Now, this was a good issue. I do want to keep reading this, mostly because the whole premise moving forward is very soon the Doom Patrol is going to be running into the Green Lantern Corps. Me reading this book is going to be entirely selfish because my favorite Green Lantern is going to be a principal character of this book soon. Kyle Rayner's getting to come back and be a star in Doom Patrol for a arc. Depending on how well the rest of the book moves forward, I will still probably continue to read this because I really enjoyed Doom Patrol from the HBO Max series. And this just seems to be a fun team. The book was enjoyable. This is definitely a teen book. It's 13 plus. There is some icky stuff in here. Some words are said, mostly from Cliff, but mostly from their new teammate, Degenerate. So, definitely recommend. I would say, if anything, pre-order this book. Make sure it keeps going. I look forward to the next stuff. I'm just really looking forward to the Green Lantern stuff. And it's going to be interesting to see the Green Lantern Corps clashing with the Doom Patrol because it's the weirdness of space versus the weirdness on Earth. Also, Monsieur Mala and the Brain and the General are in this book, having their own little side story. Um, the B story is not really strong in this one. The A story is definitely the stronger of the two. It's not the B story is weak. It's I just don't care about Monsieur Mala and the Brain, or I don't even know really who the general is. I think he's the one who killed the Doom Patrol the first time. I might be wrong on that, but not too sure. Next up, we're heading over to Marvel, where we are looking at the newest issue of Captain Britain. This is written by Teeny Howard, art by Vasco Georgiev, colors by Eric Arsignia. Again, probably just trying to pronounce names. Letters by VC's Arnia Arana Mirror, and design is by Tom Mahler and Jay Bowen. So this is basically the fallout from the last book where Morgan Le Fay is finally launching a counteroffensive on Captain Britain. She is employing another realm of sentient war machines called the Furies. But because Captain Marvel is a multiversal character, Morgan Le Fay has just like, well, hey, I need a Braddock on my side. So where is a Betsy Braddock that is not a Captain Marvel? Well, the answer is very simple. Over in the previously finished Captain Britain book where Peggy Carter is Captain Britain, who works for Strike, the British version of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Betsy Braddock is merely just a mutant liaison. So we get a interesting crossover between Prime Captain Britain, Betsy Braddock, and Rachel, and Lizzie Braddock, which is Captain Marvel or Captain Britain's universe's Betsy and Peg, and just stuff shenanigans Sue. This is still a larger story told by Teeny Howard. This is a continuation of both Excalibur, Knights of X, and I believe he also wrote Captain Britain. I might be wrong about that, but continues the story of Betsy Braddock as Captain Britain. I really dig this. I really, really enjoyed it. We also get to see Agent Peggy Carter's Captain Britain or Captain Carter or Captain Britain, whichever version you want to do. She is a new breakout character. I loved her to death in everything she's been in. And look forward to seeing her more in this book. So, yeah, definitely keep in tune with this one. And then, rounding out tonight, we are looking at It's Jeff. It's Jeff is written by Kelly Thompson and Gurihiro with Annie Chenning as Associate Manager in Digital, Tim Smith III as Senior Digital Manager, Anita Oki as Assistant Editor, Sarah Bernstead as Editor, and CB Sabuski as Editor with special thanks to Stephen. So, It's Jeff was originally a Marvel Universe webcomic with just the adventures of Jeff the Landshark, who was introduced at one point in either Deadpool or Gwenpool, I forget which. And it's just the adventures of Jeff. This is a very wholesome comic. Wonderful art, very small, simple stories of Jeff doing Jeff Landshark stuff, where he's either currently owned by, as he transitions between his three owners of Deadpool, Gwenpool, or Kate Bishop. Most of the time he lives with Kate Bishop. We just get to see fun things of Jeff in the beach, which everybody freaks out because they all know it's Jeff, but anytime they see Jeff in the water, everyone gets freaked out because he's a shark in the water. It's weird. Jeff going to the vet, Jeff going to the fish market, Jeff taking Captain American's shield to go sledding, and Steve's upset because he wasn't invited. Thanksgiving dinner with Jeff. It's just a super cute book. This is definitely meant for younger fans. I'm not gonna lie, but Jeff was a breakout character to me in the books that he appeared in, and the fact that he gets his own book is just makes me happy. It's sometimes it's really just the simple things that make me happy. So that is my comic reads for the week. I hope you guys like it. Definitely go out and get these at your local comic store. I do want to take a moment to thank Rick's Comic City. He is where I get my comics on a bi-monthly basis or bi-weekly basis. I go get my books from him every 2 weeks, guys. I'm tired. Rick's Comic City in Clarksville and in Nashville. Also, you can go to the library. Please remember your local library does stock comics. They stock trades. They stock sometimes the newest comics, sometimes digitally, sometimes physically. It doesn't take much to go get a library card. It is definitely one of the primary resources. And with that, I am closing out Get Bit for the night. Thank you so much for watching. I will be back next week with more news, more reviews, and more comic books. Till then, I'm Joe, and we will see you guys next time. Take it easy.